All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Toronto Crew Real Jobs Day. My name is Farah Kimji, and I'm the president of Toronto Crew. And we are so excited to be joined by all of you this morning to help you learn about what a career in real estate could look like. Everyone here has planned really hard for this day, and we're so excited that you're here. And we really wish we could have done this in person, but we're really happy that we're able to offer this to you guys in this way today. So get excited. You have a really good next half hour planned for you guys. And I'm going to now pass it off so we can dive right in to Alicia. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Farah. Welcome to Real Jobs Day, everyone. My name is Alicia Vera, and I am the chair of Toronto Crew's Real Jobs Day. I'm also a director at the Altus Group in their property tax division. So let's just go through our agenda for today. We will have our panel discussion for about 20 minutes, and then we will go through our Kahoot game. Now, you can get ready and go to kahoot.it or download it on your mobile device or on your laptop. We will go through the additional materials that we have for you for after our panel session, and then we'll do a quick wrap up. So let's get to our panel. I'm excited to be your moderator this morning and to introduce you to this group of amazing women that we have to talk to you about commercial real estate and their career paths. So this morning we have Michelle, Julia, and Daniela. So I'm going to have Michelle start, and I'm going to ask each of you to tell us your name, the company you work for, how long you've been there, and let's talk about the company a little bit as well.
Thank you, Alicia. Hi, Michelle Caballero here. I currently work for TrioVest, a real estate advisory and capital firm. We focus on managing client portfolios of commercial, industrial, retail, and office. I've worked specifically within the development and investment team for 4 years. We focus on getting acquisitions for our client. If they're interested in purchasing property, we walk them through that due diligence process and making sure all the numbers jive and we double check the project. Or redevelopments, if you want to tear down the building and rebuild it or build an addition to the building, we do that as well. We also get funding. So if you want to get a partner for your project, if you want to figure out how to get funding from the bank, we also figure out how to do that. One thing I enjoy about my role is being able to translate financial information into information that drives decisions on projects. So without me as a contributor to the process, they would not, have the financial information to gear those decisions towards acquisitions, developments, or anything related to real estate. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. And Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia Schatz. I am at a law firm called Bennett Jones. It's downtown Toronto. Bennett Jones is what's called a full service law firm, and they are offering services across the board, so they can help you with your corporate issues, with your tax issues, with your insolvency issues, with your real estate issues. We have an incredible real estate group, and I have been there for 22 years, and we have offices across Canada and a few dotted in the US and an office in China.
Thanks, Julia. Daniela?
Great. Hi, I'm Danielle Agnoletto. I've been, so I work for Oxford Properties Group, and you may be familiar with some of our properties, perhaps Yorkdale Mall or Square One if you really like to shop. We are a global organization that owns, manages, and develops properties in retail, office, residential, industrial, and hotels. So within Oxford, I've been with them for 4.5 years. I work within a larger team that looks after a variety of functions, including procurement, security, customer service, and sustainability. And my role specifically looking into sustainability, and I'll talk further to that shortly.
Yeah, so before we get to your positions, thank you for talking about the companies you work for, really interesting. Let's talk about your educational background. So Michelle, what was the high school that you went to? Did you have a favorite subject? And was there something in high school that you took that you thought maybe really propelled you into the career that you're in today?
Yeah, absolutely. I went to West Humber Collegiate in Etobicoke, and my strongest subjects were math and accounting. And with a side note for entrepreneurship, that was the other course I liked. Both of those courses came easier to me than English or physics. I was like, physics had like way too much homework and too technical for me. I did love biology, and I even wanted to be a genealogist. And then that fateful day came when you have to like cut open the frog. I was like, yeah, that's enough for me. So I decided to focus on a career in either business or accounting. And business is great, but it was a little bit too general for me. At the time, I felt like a job was more guaranteed if I stuck with accounting. And then that's how I went to school for accounting.
Great. And how about you, Daniela?
So I went to Dennis Morris High School, which is in the Niagara region. I'm originally from St. Catharines. So some of my favorite subjects in high school were geography. And I was so fortunate in my high school to have very engaging teachers in this subject. So I took as many geography courses as I could. I also had a strong interest in sociology, economics, civics, which I don't think many people are too fond of, and geography, which led me down to what I took in university. So unlike Michelle, math and science were not my forte. So I was more on the social side of a lot of the courses.
Oh, that's great. And, just to show that, to get into commercial real estate, it's so varied. But let's talk a little bit about post-secondary education. We'll start with Julia. What school did you go to, and what certifications or qualifications did you need to pursue your career?
So I went to McGill University for my undergraduate degree. I got a Bachelor of Science, so I do like the sciences. I got a Bachelor of Science in psychology, which was kind of a neat combination, studying all the neurotransmitters and neuroscience and behavioral things with the brain. And then I needed a law degree to be able to practice as a lawyer. So I came back to Toronto and I went to University of Toronto for law school. The University of Toronto was my choice because I knew ultimately I wanted to practice law in the city of Toronto. So it gave me an opportunity to meet people here and connect with people who are going to be my colleagues and friends going forward.
That's great. And how about you, Daniela?
Yes, so I went to the University of Waterloo under the Faculty of Environment, where I studied urban planning. One of the things that drew me to the University of Waterloo was that there was a co-op program, which gave you job experience every other term you were lined up with a role within your program, ideally. And for those who don't know what urban planning is, it looks at the economic, environmental, and social factors affecting land use. So if you like to play SimCity, it's essentially SimCity in real life. Under my program, I took a variety of courses, including environment and business, environmental law, land use planning, urban design. So similar to, if you have an interest in architecture, looking at the built environment and design of public spaces, and heritage planning as well. So all these have set me up really well for a career in real estate. It's really interesting to see how a lot of my education has led me to where I am today. Some of the further education I would include would be, project management and or some business courses to really complement my educational background.
That's really great. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk about the careers that you're in today. But let's start with your first job in commercial real estate, and maybe talk about some of the skills that you developed that allowed you to excel and be successful in the role that you're in today. Let's start with Michelle.
Thank you. So my first role was as an accounts payable specialist, and it just happened to be in a real estate company, which was Brookfield Properties. I was working raw enrolled for my CMA designation. Just to backtrack, I went to St. Catharines, Brock University. So Danielle, shout out to you. Yeah, and I focused on getting my CMA designation, and I did that while I actually had my entry-level job. But I was always willing to learn new things and take on new assignments in any role that I got. I would always look at the posting for the more senior accounting roles. I'm like, oh, what do they have? What do I need? And it would always be more experience or designation. or different skills or different programs. So I would always like, okay, I have to check these things off and make sure I get those. So I was always looking for the next role, and that's how I got from accounts payable to corporate accountant. I was always, by that time I had my CMA designation, so it was a little easier for me to get a promotion to a role. And then actually when I went for mat leave, I went away for a year, had a child, and then as I came back, my manager, my VP says to me, do you want to do the same thing or something new? I'm like, what's the catch? Obviously I want to learn something new, me. And it just turns out that a role was available as a development accountant. And I was able to do my first development accounting role for the Adelaide East Tower downtown. And so that was exciting for me to learn not only the accounting, but full cycle accounting for a full building all on my own. And I was always pushing to get to the next level. And that's how I basically progressed in my career.
Thanks for that, Michelle. It's really interesting to hear about how, a program like accounting, you can really just take it anywhere. It's great to hear about that. Yeah. How about you, Daniela?
Oh, thank you. My first job in real estate is actually my current job within Oxford. So within Oxford, I'm on the sustainability team. What is interesting, and if any of you have an interest in sustainability, is I think all of them at this point, all the real estate companies do typically have a sustainability team or person handling the sustainability for the organization. So at the start, when I first joined Oxford, I focused on reporting. So what that means is I looked at our key performance indicators such as water usage, energy, waste metrics, and through that looked at, are we increasing or decreasing? What are we doing from a sustainability perspective across all of our buildings globally? Every year, we would deliver our annual sustainability report. So this was a public-facing report that went to our customers, our stakeholders, some of our peers as well, and showed them how we're doing in this space. In my most recent role, I moved over to lead our tenant engagement program. So what that means is I work directly with the occupants of the building. So if you're a tenant in our building, your organization may have their own sustainability goals. So I would work with you to identify opportunities in waste or water savings or energy savings, looking at lighting schedules, for example. I also led a green team. So across all of our buildings, any of our tenants could join our semi-annual green team, where we would work as a community and discuss sustainability initiatives and really building the momentum to keep each other engaged and excited about sustainability. So within these roles, I gained skills in communication. So I'm working with our tenants, I'm working with our internal stakeholders, different departments, relationship building, also a really key in terms of driving change in this space, and then technical knowledge of the building in order to communicate our opportunities to the tenants.
That's great, Julia. Such an important topic for current events. And how about you, Julia?
Well, mine's a little bit different because I didn't have a job in real estate. I had a job as a lawyer. So I am what's called a litigation lawyer. So I go to court when people have issues that have arisen between them. I try and help my clients get what their right remedy might be or defend against them when people are making allegations. So I think just in early on, what skills did I develop? I developed the skills to be a good advocate. So every opportunity I got to be on my feet, I would be. I did all sorts of examinations. I've done trials. I've done applications to the court. I've done appeals. So all of that gave me the opportunity to be comfortable and good at advocacy. And then I think the second part was actually having exposure to and developing a serious interest in the real estate related litigation. So that just really required figuring out, what types of issues are going to be faced in the real estate world. There are landlord and tenant disputes. There are neighbor disputes. Who's going to pay for the shared driveway, heating the shared driveway? Who's going to deal with the environmental issues that might arise at various sites across the city. So all of those things then led me to start to have a real understanding of what the various things that can arise in real estate, and then you get your expertise. So a good litigation lawyer plus expertise in real estate area added up to a real estate litigation lawyer.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. So let's talk about your current roles and responsibilities. Maybe some, day-to-day things that you do. Let's start with Michelle.
Sure, thank you. I focused on large industrial development builds from the ground up. So for example, we'll have a greenfield in Bolton. We have Mars building that's almost finished. And we take the green space and we just build a whole building on it. And I provide the budgets and the progress updates and advise the clients on next steps and the overall status of the project, not just financially, but in construction, on leasing, on everything that surrounds that. I built that whole report for them. I also maintain pro formas and forecast all the financial aspects of the development and also get funding because money has to move, right? So clients always want to know, what is my return on my investment? So I provide them with that information and I break it down for them. And then they ask the question, what rent should I charge based on the construction costs, based on the market leases that are in the area, comparables, based on development costs. So I put that all together and making sure that not only are we charging the accurate market rents, but we're actually going to make a return on that investment that we're doing for that development. So I have to put all those numbers together and crank that all out. They have to realize, at any point, are they saving money on the project or are they overspending? Because they have to be able to pivot financially and making sure that they're staying on the course that they set out in the beginning. So basically anything that has to do with a dollar amount attached to it, that's my concern. So I break down the financial information to translate it into a format or context that the client will, 1, understand, 2, find value in, and 3, be able to make the right decisions. That's basically what I do.
Thanks for sharing. That's really interesting. How about you, Daniela?
Yes, so as with most things in COVID times, a lot of us have had to pivot or change some of our directions. So as I mentioned, my primary role was on the tenant engagement side. And since many of our tenants and our customers are now working from home, a lot of those responsibilities have essentially been put on hold for the time being. So more recently, I've had the opportunity to support our broader teams. So at Oxford, sustainability falls under a department known as platform services. So this includes sustainability, but also includes procurement. So looking at RFPs, safety and security. So that would be health and safety, physical security, emergency management, customer service, and then smart buildings. So under this, I'm gonna call it my COVID role, I work to continue to build relationships with our property teams in order to move projects along across our different portfolios. And I think the biggest piece of it is being exposed to different elements of how our teams work with the property teams and other internal stakeholders. Area of expertise, I think right now it's becoming more broad, which has been, a great thing, as I mentioned, to really understand and see the different ways our business functions. So some of the things now I'm doing is creating consistent communications across our bigger team of 30 plus people, looking at what our key performance indicators and metrics and different standards we have in these different functional areas. So the one thing I've learned in the last 6 months, remain flexible and adaptable, and it may lead to further learning opportunities.
Thanks, Julia. And how about you? Sorry. Thanks, Michelle. And how about you, Julia?
So I think my current role has a couple of facets to it. So I have the initial obligation to, not obligation, but the initial approach is to ensure that people know that I have a specific expertise. And so I have to market that. I have to tell the people both internally, because I work with a lot of professionals that can have connections with clients who may need real estate related litigation assistance. So I have to do that internally, and then I do it externally by speaking and having people learn about whether or not you have specific expertise in an area that may matter to them. So there's a marketing component to it. I then meet with clients, talk them through what their situation is, address the specific legal issues that arise from their situation, and then I generally hope to come up with practical solutions to their situations they're facing. I also then have the benefit of working with a lot of really great junior lawyers who can help with the analysis and the strategy of how to approach particular legal problems and from a business practical perspective.
That's great, Julia. So let's do your top 3 skills you need to be successful in your role. Let's start with Daniela.
Great. So my top 3, one, I would say communication skills. I think if you've been listening to what I've been saying, dealing with numerous internal stakeholders, our customers, tenants, strong communication skills in speaking and email are very important to ensure that discussions serve a purpose, are productive, and that we're clear. Especially with working from home and email communication, there's a lot of room for miscommunication. So really fine-tuning that. The second one would be project management. So I manage several projects at any given time. Understanding the fundamentals of project management certainly help in keeping organized and making sure that anyone who needs to be informed is informed, projects are moving, and that they're being completed as well. And then my third skill would be emotional IQ. So I'm working with a large team within the organization, daily interactions with tenants, customers, our own property managers. I need to be able to use emotional information to guide that thinking and behavior. So really showing that human element in those discussions.
That's a great point to touch upon. What are your top 3, Julia?
So I think really have to work hard. Working hard gives you the opportunity to really learn your industry and to really have that expertise. And then what builds from that is having credibility in the marketplace as an expert with real life knowledge of a particular industry. I think I would also say, which I've touched on a minute ago, but it's building relationships. I think you're going to hear that probably from everybody. Importantly for lawyers, we have internal relationships at the law firm that are critical to the success of our practices and hopefully to others advancing in theirs. And then we have the relationship with clients who are external to the firm. So building relationships is really important. I think also the openness to mentorship is a really important thing. People often are looking for mentors, and sometimes you don't even recognize that somebody is in fact acting in that role as in an informal way. Just keep your mind open to ideas and help from everybody along the way.
And your top 3, Michelle?
Sure. My top 3 are not specifically to my role in my field, but just specifically to me and what has helped me. So continuous learning, adaptability, and attention to detail. And of course, the accountant in me has to say, has to know the power of details. And dealing with sensitive financial information, that it makes more of an impact when you have correct details. So focusing on the details. And continuous learning helps me stay in tune with the market changes, industry changes, and just expands my knowledge base. I like to refer to a quote that I love, and it says, "The only thing that is constant is change." And a perfect example of that right now is, COVID. COVID is like change. You have to all adapt, right? So from my perspective, combining that adaptability with that continuous learning and making sure you're paying attention to the details always allows me to increase my value in anything that I'm doing.
That's great. Thanks, Michelle. So our last question for today, as we're running short on time, is what advice would you give to somebody who's interested in a career in commercial real estate? Let's start with you, Julia.
So quickly, I would say follow your passion. You will always do better when you love what you're doing. Be flexible and open your eyes to any opportunities that come along, because your path may not be straight.
And Michelle?
Yeah, I would say for anyone interested in real estate is to keep an open mind. Any discipline that you find your strengths or interest in can be found within the industry. So if you're a math expert, if you're a accounting or English expert or physics, whatever you can think of, sustainability, like it all brings it into play. I started in payables, then I went to corporate accounting, now an analyst. And I mean, I can continue going on for different roles if I want to. If I could say one thing to my younger self, I would say to let your work speak for itself. Keep working hard, even when no one notices, and it'll pay off in spades in more ways than one, because my learning curve is short and I know that. So I'll take advantage of that and always know that knowledge is power.
That's great, Michelle. Thanks for that. And how about you, Daniela?
I think my biggest thing, and I say it to everyone, I didn't know that there were so many opportunities in real estate. I think a lot of times people think real estate, you're buying and selling homes. But as displayed today by Julia and Michelle and even myself, 3 very different backgrounds, and we're all working within real estate. So my suggestion, if you are interested after today and you're thinking, oh wow, everything sounded amazing, look at the different companies. So Oxford, Cadillac, Bentall, Brookfield, just to name a few. I know there's others that will come up today, but look at their websites, learn what types of buildings they have, potential careers. You know, most post their jobs online, they're visible. Look at what, you know, take a look at what some of the skills, the qualifications are. And some of those you might think to yourself, wow, you know, I'm still in high school, but these sound really interesting. I don't have to apply to university for another year, maybe a year or 2. Let me dive into this a little bit further. The real estate world is changing, and it's changing fast. For example, Oxford's looking more now on the tech side and bringing in a lot of, you know, fast-paced technology. And, you know, if that's something that interests you, that's, you know, there's different ways we're headed. So highly recommend, you know, if today you leave and you think everything sounded great, there's so many different opportunities, take a look at the careers websites, see what might interest you, and be open. You never know where it's going to take you. And like I said, I didn't know that there were so many opportunities in this field.
No, that's really great advice. And I think there's probably some people thinking to themselves, I know I did when I was in high school, thought, you know, real estate was just, you know, buying and selling of homes. And you realize that real estate, especially commercial real estate, is so much more than that. And I know on our website for Real Jobs Day on Toronto, through Toronto Crew's website, you can find links to the panelists, and it connects you to their LinkedIn profile. So if you're interested in learning more about their education or their job positions, that information is there. Also, feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about what's going on. So, but thank you all, and to all of our panelists. That was very informative, and we really enjoyed learning more about your careers. So now we have our Kahoot game for you. We have some fun facts about real estate and the companies we talked about today. So as I mentioned before, go to kahoot.it online or on your mobile device. And if you're paying attention, our panelists have given you some of the answers to the questions that we have for you today. So over to you, Michelle, to go through our Kahoot game.
Thank you. That was so good. I really enjoyed listening to all of the advice and the career paths and, you know, what all the learnings from our panelists. So we've got the Kahoot game loaded. So what you need to do is go to kahoot.it, and or you can type it, go to the app and type in the PIN code, which is 384051. So if you want to jump in and let's play this game. We're waiting for some players. Once again, the PIN that you need to enter when you go to Kahoot is 3840,501. So hopefully we can get some players to jump on, and we can go through some questions that we have based on some of the things that we heard on our panel, and some fun facts about the companies that you know, have been showcased on the panel. So we've got one signed in. So let's see if we can get a couple more, but if not, we'll just roll through the quiz and see if you can, you know, kind of figure out what the answer is as well. So let's take a roll. Yeah. So our first question is a puzzle. And what you need to do is put these companies in alphabetical order. So we'll wait for the game to load. Oh, seems a bit slow with the connection. So what we'll do is we'll switch to the chat. We'll switch to kind of a backup power presentation. And so we'll go through the questions there. And what you can do is add in the chat what the answer that you think that you'd like to answer with. So let's load that. Just a moment. I guess the connection lost is slowing down my computer, so it's taking a little bit longer to load, but we'll get there in a second. All right. And I hope that after this session, we actually will have some additional learnings that if you come back to torontocrew.org, there will be on past events on Real Jobs Day, we'll have some additional materials for you to learn. We've got an instructor-led negotiations game that you could play with your class. And we also have another quiz, another Kahoot quiz that's self-paced that you can have the opportunity to win a Starbucks card. So hopefully you'll continue the learning on real estate, all the different careers, and come back to torontocrew.org next week and participate in some of the additional learnings that we have there for you. All right. So one of the questions we have is, which asset class are you most interested in learning about? So we've got 4 different asset classes. So maybe if you can pop in the chat what you think would be one of the real estate asset classes that you'd like to learn more about. I see residential, that's fantastic. That's where people live. We've got retail, that's where people shop. Office, where you work. Industrial is, manufacturing or warehouses. Fantastic. I see another industrial. Retail. Yeah, absolutely. These are all different asset classes that you can learn, and you can, kind of take a deep dive, and there's so much of real estate to learn. So the next question is a true or false. And among the past lawyers of Bennett Jones is a Canadian Prime Minister. So type in if you think if it's true or false. Is a Prime Minister among one of the lawyers that worked at Bennett Jones? What do you think the answer is? All right, yeah, you got it right. It is true. So we're gonna move on to the next one. And in terms of some of the different types of clientele that Bennett Jones serves, which kind of clientele would you like to learn more about? We've got financial institutions like banks. We've got public sector, government organizations like the City of Toronto, for example, developers, investors, portfolio managers, and then we also have landlord and tenants. All right, we're getting a flurry of different answers. I love all of them. There's so many different types that real estate touches. So it's really so vast, the opportunities of learning. All right, we'll go to the next one. And this one is about the different types of employees that work for Altus Group. So just maybe take a stab and your best guess as to which kind of professional potentially works there, or you can choose more than one. All right, Christine, you got it right. It's all, for sure. And I'm going to go to our last question, and this one is actually testing your ability to remember our panelists and which one of them had this type of career. Just select one. Who had a career that's listed? Is it development analyst, or is it architect? Is it a leasing agent, or custodial supervisor? Was it Daniela? Was it Michelle, or was it Julia? Well, the right answer is actually development analyst, and that was Michelle. So that is all we have for today in terms of the Kahoot game. So thank you very much for all of your answers and your participation. It was much appreciated. And we hope to see you back again. As I mentioned, we do have more materials available at torontocrew.org. So come back, and we also have, this is an annual event, and we hope to see you again next year. So thank you very much for participating, and I hope you enjoyed the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you, Alicia.